Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Lori Johnson.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. The flooding disaster in Texas is far from over. At least 20 people are now confirmed dead. 14 are still missing. And rain is forecast for the weekend. Heather Sells has the latest.
The powerful force of floodwaters in Texas has proven deadly, but now we're also hearing firsthand stories of survival. In Wimberley, the Perez family found themselves trapped by rising water in their vacation home.
I was scared for my life and her life.
We went into survival mode. I tied sheets together to make a lifeline.
The record rainfall in Texas has eased the state's drought. In fact, rivers and lakes have swollen so much they won't likely return to normal levels until July. Many Texas cities are still in danger of flooding. The concern, heavy rain from earlier in the week is pouring downstream and could push rivers over their banks. Authorities are closely monitoring the Brazos, Blanco, and San Jacinto rivers, even though they've actually started to recede. The main focus heading into the weekend, finding the missing. Authorities are looking for 7 people swept away inside their vacation home.
Right now, we must focus on finding those who are still missing. And just as importantly, pray for the living whose hearts are broken.
In the midst of all the tragedy, at least one testimony. Student and homecoming queen Alyssa Ramirez lost her life driving home from her prom as rising waters quickly surrounded her vehicle. Her father says she will be remembered for her love for others and for this, her insistence on everybody knowing that there was only one way to heaven, and that was through Jesus Christ. For many Texans, this weekend will mean cleanup. Operation Blessing is working in the San Marcos area and helped tear out flooring and drywall in this man's flooded home.
It's been hard on everybody, and I know a lot of people in this community around here are suffering, and I'm just blessed that I got help.
For others, there's still a wait just to get back to their homes, and the difficulties may still not be over. There's concern about what kind of rain this weekend might bring. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Pentagon leaders say they're revising the U.S. strategy for battling the Islamic State in Iraq. That comes 2 weeks after ISIS conquered Ramadi, the capital of Anbar province. Now the U.S. military wants to focus on quicker and better training and arming of Sunni tribes and Iraqi troops. Meanwhile, violence rages across Iraq. Terrorists bombed 2 prominent hotels in the heart of Baghdad, killing 15 people and wounding dozens. An Iraqi spokesman says more attacks on Baghdad will come as the military tries to drive ISIS from Anbar. And heavy fighting is ongoing near Mosul in northern Iraq. Security forces and Shiite militias are still trying to take back the Beiji oil refinery from ISIS.
The 3 London schoolgirls who fled to Syria via Turkey earlier this year made contact with their families. British TV reports that one of the girls called her family to let them know she is safe and she is healthy. The other 2 contacted their families online. The girls told their families they have no plans to come back home anytime soon. A woman who fled ISIS claims she took care of the girls when they arrived in February, and she told Sky News they are being trained for special missions and, quote, will probably die.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham warns that Mideast Christians are being wiped out. He expressed his concerns while visiting Jerusalem to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The South Carolina lawmaker says the plight of the Christian community is one of the most serious problems in the region.
I've never seen more threats to the Christian community than I see today. We're about to destroy one of the most ancient religious groups in the Mideast. I am incredibly worried that the rise of ISIL could be the end of Christianity as we know it in the Mideast.
Graham also warned about the growth of Iran's nuclear program and its conventional weapons program. He said Iran's sophisticated weaponry poses a threat to the region and the world. Graham is expected to announce his candidacy for the Republican nomination for president soon.
Military authorities are investigating the Army's accidental shipment of live anthrax samples. Army Chief Staff General Ray Ordino says officers believe it may have happened due to a failure in the technical process of killing or inactivating anthrax samples. The anthrax was shipped by FedEx to government and commercial labs in at least 9 states and a U.S. military facility in South Korea. Dozens of lab workers may have been exposed to that deadly bacteria.
Donald Trump is thinking about running for president again, but unlike the past when he's talked about it, this time he's actually showing some signs that he's serious. David Brody spoke with the Donald on one of Trump's recent visits to Iowa.
Wherever he goes, Donald Trump attracts a crowd.
These are hard-working people that love the country. That's what the people of Iowa are.
Here in Des Moines, Iowa, fans stand in line ready to meet the successful businessman who may soon be a candidate for president. He knows the political importance of this state and has made a number of visits.
Iowa, your impressions, and what are you feeling out there with the crowds that you're seeing?
Well, we're getting great crowds. As you know, we're getting the biggest crowds by far. We're getting standing ovations because I'm not a politician. I tell it like it is, and people have to hear it.
Trump has flirted with presidential runs before, but this time he's organizing in the early primary states. His top guy is Chuck Laudner, who helped Rick Santorum win in Iowa 4 years ago.
We have a great team of people. They're hardworking. They believe in my message, and my message is make America great again. We have to make America rich again and make America great again.
If he gets into the race, you could see him among the heavy hitters. That's because polls place him in the top 10 presidential candidates, which would land him a spot in the first debate. Yet the mainstream media and even some conservatives don't take him seriously.
For people that don't want to take you serious, what's your answer to them?
A lot of people don't think I'm running. That's where the not serious is concerned only. And that's easily answered, and that'll be answered in the month of June. And people will be surprised.
So what is it exactly that attracts conservatives to him?
I like somebody who's actually not a politician, somebody who's actually had a paycheck, made a paycheck, employed people, built something.
He's a celebrity. He attracts people to the political arena that aren't interested in political stuff. He promotes conservative principles, and he's fun and forceful.
That force showed up often during our interview. From what he thinks of Barack Obama.
We have a president that's incompetent. Doesn't know what he's doing.
To immigration?
Nobody can build a fence like me, David. You know that. I built great buildings all over the world. There's nobody can build a fence, and I would have Mexico pay for it, believe me. They will pay for it.
And even on representing persecuted Christians around the world.
Believe me, if I run and I win, I will be the greatest representative of the Christians that they've had in a long time.
Despite all the talk and love from some within the GOP base, his strong ego can be a turnoff for some.
Today, I'm very proud of myself.
His negativity ratings are high, which would be a challenge, but Trump says if he runs, people will get to know a different side of him.
I have a big heart. You know, I think you have to. You have to take care of people. And I do have a big heart. I have great relationships with people when they know me. A lot of people don't like me, but those are the people that don't know me.
We may indeed get more of an up-close look at Donald Trump, finally, in 2016. David Brody, CBN News, in Des Moines, Iowa.
North Carolina's governor has vetoed a bill that would have allowed some court officials to avoid gay marriage duties because of their faith. The Republican leader announced his decision against the religious exemption bill Thursday. It came just hours after lawmakers gave their final approval to the measure. The bill passed the House and the Senate with margins above the threshold needed to override Pat McCrory's veto. The legislature must now decide whether it wants to move forward with that override.
The new social media trend called the Charlie Charlie Challenge is getting some pushback from Christians across the country.
The challenge involves putting 2 pencils on a piece of paper in the shape of a cross and writing the words yes and no in the boxes outlined by the pencils, then summoning a demon named Charlie to move the pencils. Joshua Furstein, an American evangelist and social media personality, has created something to counter the challenge. It's called the Jesus Jesus Challenge.
In a video posted to Facebook, he says, let people know if you want to come into the spirit world, come through Jesus. He'll give you grace, peace, hope, love, mercy, and forgiveness.
He then encourages people to share their faith using the hashtag JesusJesus. For more on the dangers of Charlie Charlie Challenge, log on to cbnnews.com.
Coming up, gang violence is spreading in places where you'd least expect it. Stay tuned to meet a man who's changing the gang subculture one life at a time. Gang violence is on the rise here in America, and it's spreading from the inner cities to the suburbs and even to small towns.
Even though the rise in gang activity sounds alarming, some people in the state of Washington see it as an opportunity to reach out to these gang members with a life-changing message. Caitlin Burke has this story for us today.
I love going to the jail. Like, that's where I really feel God's pleasure. They were onto what Jesus was doing very quickly, and I just liked them. They were just like my best theological conversation partners. They'd never provide churchy, dumb answers, and their language is full of profanity, but very honest.
Chris Hoke has served as a jail chaplain for 10 years, finding an authenticity here that eluded him in church.
I was soaked in biblical language growing up. I was a worship leader, but I wanted Jesus. I wanted to find Jesus and touch Jesus and not just sing songs about it.
And Chris found what he was looking for with some of the most hardened criminals, gang members. Looking at the beautiful Skagit Valley, it's hard to imagine gang activity here.
Gangs can happen in any community, anywhere. In the early 90s, we saw our types of crimes changing. We saw them straying away from, say, property crimes to more violent crimes like assaults, drive-by shootings, and things like that.
Skagit County is on the I-5 corridor, running from Mexico to Canada.
Some individuals are trying to, leave the gang lifestyle, so they come here. Some are branching out to do their criminal activities in areas that they're not known for.
And migrant workers coming here for seasonal work often stay. Their children can have a hard time fitting in.
There's a lot of racism going on. Like, the kids used to make fun of me, and so I think that's kind of pushed me to the, like, yo, I don't want to mess with these guys. These are not the people that I want to be around. And I started hanging out with other crowds.
Jose Garcia says he was just 8 years old when he started hanging out with members of one of the most violent gangs on the West Coast. They called him Nieners, a slang word for baby. Nieners was swept up by the gang lifestyle. He committed dozens of crimes, spending 20 of the next 25 years behind bars.
Didn't have no feeling. I just didn't care. Like, get back out and be right back to doing the same thing. And everybody's like, man, that boy's heartless,
Introducing gang members to Jesus may seem like a daunting task, but these lost sheep are uniquely equipped to hear the voice of their shepherd.
They understand Jesus' mode of operation, that Jesus had kind of like this grassroots posse on the margins of Galilee, and he called people to follow him. Gangs excel at gathering the marginalized and the lonely. They knew how to find the lonely and the broken lives, men and women in this valley. And so they brought me to them.
Did you ever feel intimidated by these gang members?
No, I just love these guys. It just felt like a love adventure. Like, we'd pray, these guys would pour out their hearts, and this is the kind of friendship I'd always been looking for.
Chris and Nieners grew close, exchanging hundreds of letters when Nieners was incarcerated. He wrote of reaching out to the Lord from the depths of solitary confinement.
Just like, yo, you're messed up. Why you do this to me? Like, all these things. And I didn't know as I was doing that, I was building a friendship with him. He was actually seeing the real me, my inner heart, instead of this tough macho guy that everybody else sees as, oh, this guy's the gang leader, or this guy's this. No, he's seen something deeper. He's seen the kid that was just yearning for his love,
When his heart started to change and our relationship started going deeper and he started having more hope, he said, I want to meet my little girl. Can you help her come visit me?
After months of red tape, Chris drove 5-year-old Adelita 4 hours to meet her father. That kindness and self-sacrifice proved to be a breakthrough for Nieners. He says he cried for the first time in 15 years. As Chris writes in his book, Wanted, it wasn't misery that made Nieners crack and tear, but mercy. And it's God's kindness, St. Paul wrote in a prison letter, that leads you to repentance. 3 years later, Nieners walked out of prison for what he hopes will be the last time.
That's you?
He's engaged to be married, helping raise 2 daughters.
I've never been there for these girls who really need me, and I never had a father, so I'm gonna be something that I've always wanted, I always thought I'd be a gangster my whole life, you know, been active, out here gangbanging or locked up. I never thought it'd be this good.
Gang activity in the Skagit Valley has decreased in recent years, well below the national average. Police attribute the drop to collaboration with the community. They're especially encouraged when someone like Nieners turns his life around.
I think when you have somebody that is at a leadership or seen in the hierarchy of a gang as being towards the top, making a choice to leave, I think that sends a very big message within the gang subculture. I
mean, to have someone try to believe in God is kind of hard, but to believe in someone that, like, yo, this dude's doing it, and, you know, hey, we want what he's got. So I'm trying to give a little hope with my life.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Mount Vernon, Washington.
Up next, San Andreas, Aloha, Tomorrowland. We've got a family-friendly wrap-up on all the big flicks at the box office.
It's the weekend, and that means it is time for our regular family-friendly movie reviews with Bob Waliszewski. He's with Focus on the Family's entertainment review department called Plugged In Online. So, Bob, let's start with San Andreas. Looks like a blockbuster of an action film, but is there more to it?
Well, Dwayne Johnson in this actioner is CGI heavy and probably plot small. That said, for a disaster film, I think it delivers what it's supposed to do. You know, a feel-good ending, and we rescued the family members, and that's pretty much what happens in this film. But from a family perspective, we have a lot of profanity and some surprising bloody violence in this film. The body count would be huge. Fortunately, we don't have to see most of that on screen, but some is a little bit gory. And we ended up giving this one a mere 2.5 from a family perspective.
All right, well, there is a new romantic drama out. It's got an all-star cast, talking Bradley Cooper, Rachel McAdams, Emma Stone, Bill Murray. What did you think of Aloha?
You know, let me just talk from an entertainment standpoint first. I walked out of this film, and it's typical at screenings. There's somebody there with a clipboard wanting to get your initial comments. And I said something like, I don't think this film is going to do very well at the box office. So I'm going to say, and the reason why is because even from an entertainment point of view, it seemed unsatisfying. Now, of course, like you said, Ephraim, it's got star power like crazy. So I know the budget must have been huge just to hire all that cast. Essentially, Bradley Cooper is a civilian contractor. He returns to Oahu. He's been there before. He's got a flame there. She's now married, but, you know, for a while there, it looks like, they might have a relationship. But then Emma Stone's character becomes kind of his new flame. So there's a little, but except for one scene at the end, it just lacked some punch. Now, that's from an entertainment point of view. From a family perspective, again, language was quite a bit of an issue here. We have some under the sheets activity that happened after a night of drinking that was very disappointing. So once again, new film, PG-13, that I can't give anything more than a 2.5 out of 5 from a family perspective.
All right, real quick, any recent release you like?
Well, Tomorrowland, and we didn't get a chance to talk about that last week, George Clooney and Disney's film. It's kind of your anti-Hunger Game. We gave it a 3.5. It's not a perfect film, had some mild profanity in it, but it just had more of a feel-good, futuristic look, and we rated it relatively high for families.
All right, at least that one for the weekend. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, you bet. Talk next week.
Children all over the world are learning Bible stories through CBN's animated program, Superbook.
In Indonesia, one little girl used the cartoon to start a Bible study for her friends.
8-year-old Jade fell in love with CBN's Superbook the very first time she saw it. She even asked her dad to buy some episodes.
And we ended up buying 3 Superbooks: David and Goliath, Creation, and Let My People Go.
Jade shared the new episodes with her cousins and afterward had an idea.
I asked my mom and dad if we can start a Bible study with Superbook with my friends.
I thought, wow, maybe God is wanting to do something through her
Frank gave his daughter only one condition for starting the group.
That if she was going to start a group, then she wasn't allowed to gather kids from church. It had to be kids from her school or the community.
Jade invited some kids from her school in Indonesia and with help from her mom got everything ready. 6 girls came to the first meeting.
Most of them don't know Jesus, and they're mostly Islam, Buddha, and Hindus.
Word began to spread at school. Soon, a total of 17 girls started to come to watch more new episodes of Superbook.
We watched Daniel in the Lion's Den, and I asked them, how could Daniel stay alive in the lion's den? And they answered, because he has Jesus. And I asked them if they want to have Jesus, and they said yes. So we prayed, and then they received Jesus.
Jade's mom recorded these images on her phone, as many of the girls prayed to become Christians during the meetings.
Many of the kids come to Jade's cell group who have now given their life to Jesus and beginning to read their Bibles and getting closer to God. Superbook has got to be one of the greatest tools that has ever been provided for children's ministry to the body of Christ. For the first time, our children have a tool in their hands that they could use to effectively reach other children. What we realized through Jade is even an 8-year-old is able to start a group and allow God to work through her. God can use anybody who's willing to be a vessel for Him.
And you can find out more about CBN Superbook Ministry and how it's being used to bring hope and joy around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.
Finally this hour, a message of encouragement we like to call your Friday Faithful. The Bible, you know, has compared problems we face in life to mountains and said He has given us the faith that can move them. So today, instead of crying to God about your mountain, tell your mountain about your great God and then watch your faith move it. After all, God is bigger than any mountain you can or cannot see. With that, make this a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend.
I love the saying, faith is the antidote for fear.
You got that right.
Well, that's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We'll see you right back here on Monday.